Good morning, this is Kim. Welcome to this tutorial, which is basically about how to fill in the vocational placement record book, which is what you will need to complete when you're on your vocational placement to satisfy all the Task 1 requirements or Assessment Task 1 requirements for the Certificate 3 in Children's Services online course. Hopefully this will help many of you, as this book can be a little bit daunting as there are 62 pages. So I'm going to go through most of the pages one by one, and hopefully this will clarify exactly what you will need to do to complete this book correctly. So as you can see on page 2 we have the table of contents. There is an introduction page, so I suggest that you do read through these pages. This highlights that there are 120 hours of vocational placement that you will need to complete for the Certificate 3. Sometimes if people have been signed off as competent by the supervisor and they have only done 97 hours, for example, that will be okay as well. Don't forget that before you have completed your hours, you will need to contact me via email to organise a vocational placement assessment, and that's where I come out and either discuss with your supervisor face-to-face or possibly even over the phone to get feedback on your workplace achievements. This is basically a short letter to the placement provider, so when you first receive this book and you go to your vocational placement, you should obviously hand it to your supervisor so that they are aware of exactly what you would have to do whilst you're on placement in their service. So there's some details of the book. Okay, on this page, this is the first page that you have to actually do something, so we're up to page 6. This is where you basically go through the units and put the start date and the finish date. So if you have actually started one unit doing the activities while you're at your workplace on a specific date, and then you finish with that one unit on another date, you can just put the start and the finish date there. Otherwise, a lot of students basically put their first day of vocational placement in this column for all of the units and their last day in here. You would then put your supervisor's name. Now your supervisor can be the nominated supervisor or director or the educator group leader in the room. So their name, date and signature. I will then sign here. So basically once this book is finished, that is when you'll bring it to me or post it to me, and I will go through all of this and clarify that it's been done. When I get it also, I'll put my signature here and the date. Now this page here is for any person that is authorised to supervise. So any person that is contributing comments for verification or signatures in this book, they must put their name, the name of the organisation, their position, their qualifications, their signature, initials and date in this book. So anyone who is signing it, that's just for auditing purposes and to make sure that we are aware of the type of person that is contributing comments to this book and that they have the relevant qualifications. Okay, this goes over some of the provider's responsibilities and myself as an assessor as my responsibilities, student responsibilities, and so on. So I suggest that you have a good look at these, as it basically points out exactly what you should be doing. Now you are covered by insurance when you first notify me that you're ready to do your vocational placement. I send in details to our vocational placement coordinator, who draws up a vocational placement agreement, which will be emailed to you, and you will need to print that off and take that to the service to be signed by the nominated supervisor, or what used to be known as the director, and yourself, and then returned back to our vocational placement coordinator prior to start. And that way you are covered under the TAFE insurance while you're at your vocational placement. So there's some frequently asked questions and so on. So have a read of these first few pages. Okay, so this basically is also the next page that you have to complete something on. So obviously you just put down the name of the service, the address, phone number and the supervisor and the date. Sometimes if a student is deemed not competent, they will have to complete another vocational placement, or sometimes students leave halfway through one vocational placement, whether it's been because they've moved and are going to a new centre. So I have allowed places for two records there of two different centres. Now the work task list, if you have a read up here, indicates the tasks to be performed by yourself and verified by your supervisor. So to demonstrate that these tasks have been undertaken to a satisfactory workplace standard. So these things here are what your supervisor is going to be looking at and commenting on in this right-hand column. And it also maps across to what unit it's in relation to. So for example, if you're wanting to know what you are supposed to be doing, you could read through these tasks here, because this is exactly what your supervisor will be looking for and will be looking at observing. So did you demonstrate a professional and diligent manner at all times? So the supervisor will put down a comment or a tick or a signature there. Did you demonstrate a positive, helpful manner? Did you understand several of the service's policies? Did you demonstrate an understanding of how to support children's behaviour, and so on? So if you could have a look through of those and make yourself aware, because this is what the supervisor will be looking at. Now this, for example, you can see is a lot of observation and comments by the supervisor. So as I said, you must show them in advance what pages they will be responsible for. As you can see down here at the end of that, you need to sign and put your name and date. The supervisor will sign, put their name and date, and the last one to do that will be myself as the TAFE assessor. Sometimes if I'm not available for the assessment, there will be another facilitator that may assess you, but generally I've done 99.9% of the vocational placement assessments. So again, if you could just note that these 3 pages are for your supervisor to comment on, but again, you should be very much aware of what is in this column to make sure that you are doing that and demonstrating that. Okay, so now we're moving on to page 18. This is pretty clear, I think. There's a spelling mistake, so I will just fix that up. This is where you record your hours that you work. As I said, you have to complete basically 120 hours while you're at vocational placement. So you put down the day, the date, and the supervisor's signature to confirm that you have done that. Now there's several pages there for you to write down your hours. Okay, page 21 is the start of a very long student self-evaluation chart. So as that is labelled, it is a self-evaluation chart. So you are to read through the topics on the left and tick whether you are not demonstrating, working towards, or demonstrating them. And you may also put down some comments, the date and initial. Now the topics that are contained on the left hand side here in this column are actually things called employability skills. So these are types of skills that you should demonstrate if you're wanting to work in the early childhood education profession. So it's a really good tool for you to see the types of things that you may need to improve on, may need to find out more about. So please don't be afraid of putting not demonstrating. So if you read through something and you think, look, I'm unaware of that and I'm really not sure of what that means, you would tick not demonstrating. It does not mean you will fail the Certificate 3. This means that you are taking an honest look at the different skills and then making note of things that you may have to work further on in order to gain employment in the early childhood profession. As I said, all of the things here in the left-hand side column are employability skills and are skills that you would have to demonstrate in order to work in the early childhood education profession. So as you can see, there are quite a few pages. There are a lot of skills that you do need to demonstrate in order to gain employment in this field. So please take your time and go through this self-evaluation. This will be something that will be ticked off at the end to actually clarify whether you have or have not completed it. So please take your time to go through that. As you can see, it ends on page 32, and then you can fill in the details below: the name of the children's service, address, phone number, my name, my signature and date will be put in there after I've read through your self-evaluation, as well as your own name, signature and date. Now we get on to the actual assessment tasks. As you recall, when you first have your orientation, online, every single unit has assessment task 1, and that is what is linked to vocational placement. So in order to complete assessment task 1 for all of the units online, you will need to complete all of the vocational placement questions and activities. It starts with this one page about implementing sustainability, and as it states here, you have to tick the level of sustainability that you are now implementing in the workplace or in your work environment, and then provide 3 examples of this. So how you're, if you are implementing basic actions of environmental sustainability, or if you're implementing actions that demonstrate understanding and commitment, you can put down here. So again, there's no right or wrong, just demonstrating that you are basically implementing some type of environmental sustainability actions. And the same for economic sustainability, workforce sustainability, and social sustainability. So things that will go into these are things such as completing professional development, or looking at current research and reading on early childhood education, economic sustainability and environmental sustainability, things like recycling materials, growing vegetable gardens, recycling water at the centre. Economic sustainability is recycling arts and crafts materials and things like that. Workforce sustainability can be such things as making sure you take required breaks, that you're only working the hours that you should be working, and so on, so things like that. So please fill out that page. Now the rest of the questions and activities are pretty straightforward. As you can see at the top of the page is the unit code and the unit name. So you'll be familiar with these units from completing them online. Now for this unit, participate effectively in the work environment, you can see that there are 7 questions. So you are to read through these and then answer these on a separate piece of paper. Some people actually do like to work on this book as an electronic book, so you may well just type in your answers under here, like so on, and then save it and then print out the pages. Other people just like to type up new Word documents and then slot them in. You did receive a copy of this book as a hard copy when you did enrol, so I suggest that you hole punch the whole book, put it into a folder, answer these questions on a separate Word document, print them out, and then put them in behind this page in your folder. Once I get your book at the end, I will go through all these questions and mark them, and then verify whether or not it's satisfactory. So this basically is assessment task 1 for participate effectively in the work environment. And you can see that if we go through or scroll down, there is one of these pages, with some have shorter activities than others, but one of these pages for every unit, so 14 of the units, that you must complete and put extensive answers into, and then put them into your folder for me to assess at the very end. But keep scrolling down. I really do enjoy reading the responses from the vocational placement, as it's really good to see that you have applied all the knowledge that you learn online. Okay, so we're down to page 48 now. Now these are third-party reports, and basically these are where in your supervisor's professional opinion or judgment, they deem you as competent. So they will actually have a look to see whether you've done the tasks and activities as per the task record book, which was all the way back at the beginning, which is the things that I said that your assessor will be here, the work task list, and that's what your supervisor will be looking at while you're in their service. So if you go back down, so they will look at that and put down their professional opinion as to whether or not you've done that. The self-evaluation, or the employability skills, which was that very long self-evaluation chart earlier, they will put down yes or no whether or not you have completed that. And then of course the vocational placement questions and activities, which are these things, so they will tick those as well. So your supervisor will fill in these boxes here. You can put the name of the work placement and the name of your supervisor and the phone number, your name and student number up here. The workplace supervisor can tick all of these and then put their name, signature and date. So this is the supervisor at the centre confirming that in their professional opinion, with their qualifications, they deem you as being competent in this specific activity in the workplace. So you will need to put your name, signature and date, and the very last thing will be myself putting my name, signature and date and signing off as a satisfactory, unsatisfactory or further assessment required. So there is actually a third-party report for every unit that you study in the Certificate 3. If you are someone who's only doing a few of the units, whether or not you've already studied before and have some previous units or credit transfers, you will only need to complete the activities and the third-party reports for the units that you are enrolled in. So scrolling down through all of those, they all look exactly the same. So be sure that they are all complete and everything's signed off as well. And that is basically it. The very last page in this book is just a form that we give you just in case you need to do some observations of children while you're at the service, and we give you that as an example of a parent or guardian permission request form so that you're allowed to get permission to observe children, obviously maintaining confidentiality.